I've been having matchas every morning now. It makes me feel like a cool girl. I won't deny it. It makes me feel like a cool girl, but also it is better for me. I just mean it's better for everyone, but let me just overshare about my stomach problems at 7 in the morning. It's lower in acidity, and my little stomach, she is kind of a wimp, to be honest. She's like, oh, anything high acidity, we're not gonna take that. We're not gonna take it. We're gonna be angry. And so now I'm like, okay, I'll drink tea and eat a banana. What do you want? Anyway, welcome to the video. I'm Melissa. I actually write books. I don't just talk about personal issues, but sometimes I do talk about personal issues, so you get what you sign up for, I guess. But I have more energy. I never know how much energy I have until I start talking for the day. I thought I was having a chill morning, but apparently not. I am going to take you through the next few days of writing, like a little Tuesday, Wednesday work days in my life, 9 to 5 writing a fantasy novel energy is what we're kind of going for here. I've only had like 3 sips of this. I don't know what's going on. I have a new strategy when it comes to writing. Are we shocked and surprised? What I'm kind of trying to do is relieve some pressure and relieve some resistance while still having the opportunity or like making the space for me to write a lot. I've been having a lot of resistance, and I think I'm gonna make a video about this today, which you would have already seen. So check that out. I think one of the ways I'm trying to like prepare for it to go well, but not be like beholden to writing a certain amount of hours in a row or time in a row, is to have 3 different times throughout the day that I've blocked or that I've left space for them to be writing time. And one of them is like between 7 and 8 a.m. is like the hour before work in the morning. And that's not 6 a.m. I used to write at 6 a.m. and I've tried to go back to writing at 6 a.m. and then there was too much pressure. And then when I wouldn't wake up early enough, like it would start me off like, I'm not doing my, and that's not how we handle resistance, right? Because then it's just like this spiral. And so I just decided like, for the time being, like I don't need to write 3 hours in the morning, but it would be great if I could have the space where whether it's 30 to 50 to an hour, that's open and available. And if I get 200 words, that's okay. And if I get one, like if I just sit down and plan out the chapter that I'm gonna write later today, that's fine. But also if I'm planning for it to go well, and so then it might, it might just, I might get 1,000 words in an hour, like who knows, And then my second block is over my lunch break, so right when I get home right at noon, a little session then, and then not right after work because, girl, but going back to it around 6, because I typically go to the pool like around 8 if I go to the pool. I think today I have something else I need to go to, but usually I have something else, or like I'm winding down by 8, so another session at 6. And any one of those sessions can turn into a longer one. I mean, I guess I do have to work, but there's the opportunity for them to. I can work longer in other areas the morning one is already kind of shaping up to be shorter than I maybe would have liked. I only have about half an hour before I need to start getting ready for the day, but that's okay. Like a half an hour. Honestly, I'm working on this chapter right now that's really tiny, and I don't actually know. I'm really 50-50 on if it's even gonna go in the book, but I want it to exist just for this draft, but it doesn't need to really accomplish very much, and I just have a feeling it might not end up in the final book anyway, and so it's just more of a reflective mirroring chapter. Like she has this chapter where she's reflecting, but also we're moving forward and like what's happening to her and what she's doing. And I want to mirror that with how he's feeling after this big event has happened, but we don't really, like we already know what he's about to do, so there's no really plot progression that happens there, but that's what I was working on yesterday. I only wrote I guess I ended up writing like around an hour total, I guess, but it was kind of split up throughout the day, which is fine, which is my whole strategy, but well, actually it was fine. It just, because there was no plot driving the chapter, it was hard to get into, but while we still have time, oh my gosh, I'm talking myself out of a voice, let's go do it, Okay.
Found myself in the cardboard box, feelings hidden deep down. I found us back now, I can't escape.
actually annoyed because I'm not actually annoyed. That went really, really, really well. I literally wrote for like 20 minutes. Like my timer's not even done yet. It's not even done yet. I only set a 24-minute timer, so it was 58 seconds. It had 4 minutes left when I was done with the scene. To be fair, I think I only wrote like 400 words, but those 400 words, I knew that this scene needed to be here for some reason, and I didn't like quite know what it was going to accomplish. And what it accomplishes just is what it accomplished in what I was feeling when I was writing it. I don't know what it actually says, but it's this setting of his heart. It's gonna make me cry because he's such a honey, and I just want him to be happy, but he's not gonna be happy for a long time, unfortunately for him. It's really interesting because I woke up this morning and I was doing my daily scroll, which I'm trying to stop. And I watched this video from this book talker. She was like annoyed about a lot of romance books that she'd been reading because she felt like a lot of writers weren't giving her subtlety anymore, that they were like just telling you that they were in love. And that she felt as though a lot of romance books recently have been, like we're just supposed to believe, like we have a trope and then we're just supposed to believe that they have this weird connection to each other and they think the other person's hot, and that we're just supposed to understand this weird connection between them and not actually see the connection build on the page. That was like her impression of like recent contemporary romances that she had read. And honestly, it kind of was making me crouch out a little bit because I was starting to worry of like, I want to be subtle. Like, I don't want to just say on the page, like, he was in love with her, he loves her. Like, I understand wanting the subtlety of, like, having to wait for that moment and to see it build and feel it, like, feel the growth of the relationship with them. Which is what she was saying, that, like she wants to read more romances where you feel like you are falling for the other person with the character and not just like, oh, they have some weird connection that we don't understand. It was just good for me to hear that because it helped me to like remember that I want to do that. And so it's just funny that the scene I ended up writing this morning was essentially like him not even realizing, because he's like, this man is down bad, I fear. He hasn't always been down bad, but he is down bad right now. And so I was a little nervous going into this scene where essentially the goal of the scene is for him to like decide, I mean, he's already decided, but he needs to like decide that he's going after her, you know? I was like, how am I going to do this in a way where it's not just him being like, I love this woman, like I need, you know? And so, but I'm really happy with the way that this is coming out. Let me just read you a little snippet. I just wrote this like this morning, so it's very first draft. This is like in the middle of a chapter. He's deciding in this chapter to go after her, which is like, that shouldn't be a spoiler because this is a romantasy book, you know? At a certain moment, I'm not gonna tell you what moment that is. So, never before, this is me. I get very self-conscious reading my writing notes. I mean, do I really? Okay. Never before had Cecil wished to be younger. He'd started hunting at a young age, been a regular at the trade markets before growing his first beard. At the time, his age had been a detriment. People would assume his game improperly packaged, or sometimes that he was just a mouthpiece for his father, a man who'd fled the second he saw, spoiler, and would refuse his offerings out of principle. In his frustration, he'd turned to drawing his own facial hair with dirt just to fill his mother's table. Now, Cecil wanted to be a child again, wanted someone to soothe him out of this living nightmare and believe them without a second thought. But a child could not help Dahlia. And Cecil had felt this shift, not in the moment of her sacrifice, not when she had given him the key to her freedom, but much before that. In the softness of the river and the quiet delight behind her eyes at the sight of a great monster. He didn't want to name the feeling. Was not sure he would be brave enough. But in that settling, in that shift, her name had been sewn into the lining of his heart. Okay, that's a little dramatic, but I was feeling emotional, okay? He did not know if Dahlia felt the same. Cecil was not in the habit of catching the eye of beautiful beings. She probably regarded him as something akin to a friendly tree, a wounded animal she felt obligated to save. Cecil did not care. I don't know if I'm just delusional, but I fear, This is really the first, well, I think this is one of the first times he's really like, shit, I really like this girl. I like this girl. Oh, he likes this girl. Okay, anyway, I need to go to work, but that's what I wrote this morning, I think, actually. I think I literally started with that. And then there's like there's like 4 more sentences after that. That's what I wrote this morning. So there you go. That's my whole morning session. Took me about 20 minutes to write that. I don't know. I'm feeling it. Why am I crying? Oh my gosh. If you knew this man, you would be crying too. I think the fact that I only had 30 minutes to write and that I didn't put pressure on it, I'm sure that that's helpful because that always is helpful. Whatever, fine. I'll stop putting pressure on myself to write and then I'll write good things. Whatever, boo. I'm actually gonna stop reading. I just want to read it again. Cecil was not in the habit of stop. I'm gonna cry. Okay. But the next chapter I have to write is also in Cecil's point of view and it's right after this scene, so that's good. I wrote 2 Dahlia chapters in a row last week. One that was reflective like this and then one that was very like 3,000 words of like, girl, what's going on? I'm stressed. I'm actually gonna, this is like the best paragraph. It's not my best paragraph ever, but it might be up there. It might be up there. You guys are watching this and being like, that wasn't even that good of a paragraph. Anyway, I need to go to work. The next chapter I'm writing for Cecil is also, more happens. We're meeting a couple new people. We're like getting the lay of the land. We're doing, and I actually have a really solid outline for what that chapter has, so that'll be what I work on later today. Let's go get ready for work. Back in like early Alyssa and the Books lore, like 2023, when I was in my apartment and I would do like, how I would write is I would do like 25-minute sprints and then I would clean for 10 minutes and then I would do 25-minute sprint and then I would clean for 10 minutes and I would do this like all the time. Sorry, one sec. In so long, and yesterday and today I've actually been doing that where between each writing sprint I just clean like one room or one area of the house, and cleaning actually doesn't take that long, shockingly, because I don't really, I mean, okay, I'm not even gonna get into the state of this house. But so I did a 25 and then I cleaned my bathroom and then I did another 25 and I think I got about 1,000 words total for that little hour writing. Feeling good about it. I know I said this whole thing of not making goals, but sue me, I'm gonna make a goal. I would like to finish at least the first sort of round of this chapter. Like, I'll go back and edit it in the future, but I would like to get to the end of this chapter today. And I think I should be able to after work. So that is kind of my plan, is to do another like 25 clean, and then what I'll be cleaning tonight is my kitchen, because I did my living room yesterday and my bathroom today, and hopefully we'll have time to do the kitchen tonight. And then I do need to fold more laundry, because when do I not need to fold more laundry? But I think one of the reasons I haven't been doing that recently is I've been writing with people a lot. Like, most of my writing has been with people, which has been really great. This week it's just like hasn't been lining up as well. I mean, so far it's only Tuesday. I'm sure I will write with people more later this week. But it is kind of nice it feels very nostalgic to do like a 25-minute sprint and then like clean. Like it kind of took me back to the first year of my channel where I really didn't have any like writing friends at all. Like I had one writing friend from college and we don't live in the same city, but that was really the only in-person person that I knew in my life who wrote. And now it's like, I can't even count how many writing friends I have. And like, honestly, most of my social interaction happens with my writing friends. And so it's just kind of, it's just interesting to think about and reflect. And like that first year I did daily videos in November, like I never would have thought that like, oh, I'll be like really close best friends with so many writers and like I won't be doing all of this writing all alone. And I was thinking like, it's kind of crazy to think about now because I was so motivated like just by myself to write. And now it's like half the days I'm like, I need somebody else to body double with me or it's not gonna happen. And I just need to remember to tap into that like innocent, not innocent, that makes me sound like I'm guilty now, but that like fresh, like joy and like effervescence and like actual just like wanting to do the thing. And I still do feel that. Honestly, the sprints today have all felt really good. Like there's a breath of hesitation, but then I'm able to just go into it and that hesitation doesn't last. And I think it's just good to think back to like the writer I was in even 2022 before I had a YouTube channel. I wrote 2.5 books before I ever had a channel. And I just did that out of like the goodness of my heart. Motivation of like, I want to do this. And obviously if I only was writing for the sake of making a video about it, I wouldn't be writing. Like it's a lot of work to do just for a video, but like I've made no secret that filming and documenting my journey is a huge motivator to keep it going, especially when publishing seems to be never ending and never happening sometimes, you know? I think that documenting it in this way has helped me to like keep the motivation and the discipline when it could be naturally lacking. But it has been nice like today to remember that like this is something I'm choosing to do. You know, and I know that sounds crazy. Like obviously it's something you're choosing to do, but I think sometimes it turns into an obligation of like, this is what I do. This is what I make videos about. This is what I hang out with my friends around. Like, this is what I do. And there is still joy in that. Like, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be reminded that that joy does come from like the act itself too. And I know that's like, I feel almost like vulnerable saying that because I feel like there's sort of there's a lot of talk about like creative purity and nobody talks about it in those terms specifically, but about how like you should only, that your motivation and your want to create should come only from the actual art of creating and that if some sort of external thing like money or fame, like posting about it on YouTube, like if that is a motivator for you creating art, then that makes the art less worth consuming. And nobody is saying that in a way of like trying to be mean. Like usually those conversations are like sourced in, we want to be creating from our raw, authentic selves. Like we don't want capitalism to take over creativity. And like all of those are super important conversations. But I think like sometimes a side effect of those conversations is like, oh, creating content around your work like says something about you, or if you, not just creating content, but if you need content creation to like be a motivation for you to write, then it's like somehow makes it like less pure, like it makes it less of art. And that might just be like a sensitivity thing from me, like taking it that way. Like I don't really think that people are intending that, but I don't know. I think that in our world right now, it's really hard to focus and do things that require great focus and things that require such patience and time. Like our brains are destroyed by social media, truly. And so sometimes a task like writing where there's very little gratification in the moment, and if you're trying to go for publication, like there's very little instant gratification in that process. Like it's a process that takes years and years and years. And so I think it's very normal to lose motivation and to lose discipline. And so for me, like I rely on creating content around that work and having people in my life who motivate me Like I require that sometimes to keep going forward. And I do think that without that, I still would write, but I don't think it would be to the degree that I do now. It's hard enough. Like it's hard enough to write even with all the motivators in the world. And so I don't view my creation of art and writing as any less valid because it sometimes takes, oh, I have to post a vlog to get me to do it, you know? And I don't really know where the soapbox is coming from, to be honest, because it's not like people are commenting like, Alyssa, you should stop making vlogs about your writing. Like you should just write the book and be happy with it. But I think sometimes in creative spaces, we get a little bit precious about what things can motivate art. And it's hard enough already. Like whatever motivates you to sit down and write is good enough. Wow. I need to go back to work. Hi. Time for a little update. The clip you saw before this was Tuesday, I think. And I've had a pretty good writing week since then. I'm trying to think. It's kind of a blur, to be honest. Wednesday I wrote in the evening on Wednesday. Not sure about during the day or not. Don't know. But yesterday, Thursday, I wrote in the morning. But today, this morning, I went to a coffee shop because I'm flexing work today, so I'm not on the clock. And I went to a coffee shop and it was really interesting, and I felt like I was just gonna end the video where it was because I was like, I haven't vlogged in 3 days. But it kind of fed into this like thematic moment of this video because I was like, okay, I'll do some sprints here. I wasn't super highly motivated, but I was like regularly motivated. I was actually kind of crabby, I feel like, this morning. Well, it was because this month I'm on a very strict budget. I just decided I just need to stop. Like some months I just go to a coffee shop like 5 times a week and get like a pastry and a coffee. 5 times, like in this economy, no. So I've been very like, I'm only going to coffee shops. I only have $20 for the coffee a week, which also like that sounds ridiculous to budget in $20 every week. Like I'm hoping to bring that down to where it's like a rare treat, like maybe once a week that I go, but also I don't really care. Like it's sort of like a productivity thing for me at this point too of going to them. But because of that, this was one of the 2 roughly coffee shop times I could go. So I went to my original coffee shop and there was like, it was full of old people. I don't know what was going on, but it was like literally like there were 3 tables open, tiny little tables, and there was no pastries left. And at this point I kind of go to coffee shops for pastries because I don't really drink coffee anymore. So anyway, I was like, I left. I was like, I'm not spending my hard-earned money here. Anyway, and then so I went to another coffee shop and then they didn't have the pastry I wanted either, but they did have a good one and I need to stop complaining. But because of that, I was a little sour. I was like, I'm spending $12 here and it's not whatever. And so then I was just kind of in a crappy, I was like having a little pity party for myself. And for what? And I wrote, I did a 12-minute sprint and a 24-minute sprint. And then I was gonna leave because I was like, I'm kind of unfocused. I don't know if I have a 36 in me right now. I need to pick up something from the store and it's about to be lunch hour and like all this stuff. But I just decided, I was like, you know what, no. I'm not gonna set a timer, but I was also kind of not in the flow, but where I had left the scene, I was like, I want to get a little bit more of this scene written because I have an idea of where it's gonna go. And so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna set a timer. I'm just gonna write until I don't want to anymore and just like get as far in this scene as I feel. And in my head, I was thinking I'll probably write for like 10 more minutes and just like finish this paragraph. Then I wrote for 45 minutes in a row. I was listening to Vivaldi. I was listening to the 4 Seasons. Banger. I think it's like an hour to listen. No, it's probably way less than that. I have no idea. Because like after it finishes, the 4 Seasons just plays more Vivaldi, you know? So I was listening to that and I got really immersed in the story. Of course. And I got really immersed in the story and I think I ended that session I had written around like 1,800 words or something. Maybe more like 1,600. It's like, I'm sure it's messy. I'm sure if I go back and look at it, which I'm going to today, hopefully, and edit it, it's kind of a mess, but it was diabolical also what was happening in the scene, which I didn't really know where I was going. Like I know where she's going emotionally and like generally the direction that we're going, but I didn't have the how. I always say this, I know what's gonna happen, but I don't know how it's gonna happen. And oh my gosh, I was like, if these people knew what I was writing on this page right now, they would be shocked and appalled. Essentially what needs to happen with Dahlia for Act 2 Part 2 is she just needs to downward spiral, essentially. Because she spends the whole first half of the book, like, she's not in a great situation objectively, but her mental state is very like, I'm in control, I've got this, I am fine, I am handling this, right? And I need, at her low point, for her to not feel that way anymore, and so I need to get her there. And it's kind of tricky to do that for a character who has been like totally fine being kidnapped in the beginning of this book, because she has, like, the whole first half of this book has not been a great time for her objectively, but she's been mentally handling it all really well. And so it's like, what would we have to do to get to a point where we're not mentally handling it well? And I think, I don't know what happened to me when I was writing that scene, but man, I was like, this is really depressing. And it's also like, it's also paralleling the romance, obviously, because it is a romance. I need to remember that. It's romantasy. I am having a difficult time with this section deciding when to end chapters. Difficult might be an overstatement. Like, it's not like I'm really struggling that hard, but I keep coming upon like, okay, I could stop the chapter here, or I could keep going. I could stop the chapter here, or I could, and I just kind of keep stopping the chapter and worrying that I'm stopping it too early. So that's kind of where I'm at up here, you know. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not. Well, also, it's hard to tell because I have this book outlined, but it's very loose. And this next section is kind of like the next like 5-10 chapters. I don't know. I say 5-10. That's like a large difference of chapters, but there's like one bullet point in my outline. And now I do have like a smaller outline that's like the next few scenes. And I'm just trying to remind myself, like, yes, I'm going for a cleaner draft. Yes, I do want to have it roughly where I want it to be on this draft. But if I need to add to a chapter or combine 2 chapters and add a new one where the other one, like, I can do that. So I'm not going to be worried about it. But back to what I was saying is that, like, the second I said, okay, I'm just not going to do a timer for this one, and I'm just gonna see what happens, that's when I was able to really lock in, because I think when I know that there's a ticking clock, I'm like kind of thinking ahead to like, when is this sprint gonna be done? But here's the thing, I think I still do want to operate with sprints because it's very motivating for me to get started when I know I only have to write for 12 minutes to start. And the same with 24, but I'm thinking maybe after the 24, if I'm just writing by myself, like if I'm in the moment, being like, okay, let's just see how long we go. Because I honestly, when I looked at the clock, I was kind of shocked because I did not think that I had written for 45 minutes. But I think I wrote around 800 words. Maybe more than that, actually. Because I think I was at 900 words when I started writing that second time. And I finished at 1,800 words. So that would be like 900. Which would clock for 45 minutes and being in flow. I do. So this chapter right now is sitting at 1,800 words. And I think it's going to end around probably 2,000, 2,100 is my guess. I could end it here where I have it, but I also could add a little bit more, but I don't. I need to start thinking about like, what am I trying to accomplish with this scene, and have I accomplished it? Because usually that's subconscious for me. Like when I look back at the scenes, I'm like, oh yeah, that accomplished that. That pushed us further in this arc. That, because I know like generally where our arcs are going and generally where the plot is going, it like just naturally, that's how scenes have their own purpose without me really like thinking about it that critically. But maybe I could start thinking about that when deciding like, is this a finished chapter or not? I don't know, I gotta ramp it up here. Not really. I just need to accept, just let whatever happens happen, but also provide myself. This weekend I'm gonna be providing myself lots of opportunities to write should I feel the need to accept them. Okay? I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Comment down below a fall leaf emoji. It's feeling very fall outside. Do you hear the leaf blower in the background and, you know, the orange? It's very fall. Okay. Bye.